Good afternoon everyone. Today I am going to demonstrate the Python and database connectivity by using the MySQL connector, which is a Python library. So let's start. For that, first of all, we require some prerequisites. That is, we have to start our MySQL server, and I'll also show you on which table I am going to work. So as everyone can see, I have now started the MySQL client as well as the server. So let us go forward with the installation of Python MySQL connector. For that, we will need to go to the root directory. The command for installing is pip install MySQL connector Python. As I have already installed, it is showing this, but it will be installed properly. It will ask for a yes or no prompt. To check for the successful installation of MySQL connector, all we have to do is start Python command line and type import MySQL connector and MySQL connector dot connect. Herein we need to enter the credentials according to our own machine or the things as we have labeled. For me, it's all which was predefined. I have not done any changes, but if there are any changes, we have to do it accordingly. User can be any user which you have made. I haven't made any user as it, so I am using the root user. And the password which we have mentioned for our server, that needs to be entered as well. So when we can see that MySQL connection object which is given here, it is at a certain address in our computer's memory, so it is connected. Otherwise, if there are any problems with the database name or the password, it will prompt us properly. So for now, let us exit the Python command line. To connect the MySQL database, we can't give our password away like this. So what we have done is we have prepared a config.ini file which has all our credentials stored in it. Just a minute, I'll show you. Here are the required files which we are going to use. First of all, I'll let you through the config.ini file. Here we haven't done much anything, but whatever we mentioned in the Python command line, all those parameters are given here. To continue the configuration, we'll go to the Python MySQL DB configuration. This code I have taken it from a website. This code actually uses the configure parser package and returns us the dictionary object. It basically checks from the config.ini file and returns those credentials or the things which we require to start a database or to connect it as a dictionary object. So this is the code. And the parameters here just might vary according to the according to the file name. and as it is mentioned, the section is MySQL, so we need to explicitly mention this MySQL here, so that it will just look the lines or the code underneath it. So that is with the Python MySQL DB configuration. I'll run the code so that we are sure that we get the object. For that, first of all, we need to go in the directory where we have stored those programs, which is the MySQL directory. Herein we'll start the Python command line again in order to check that the Python MySQL database configuration is properly working. We are importing the read database configuration function from over there. And we'll execute the same function. So the connect function connects the read database configuration. We'll start the read database configuration now. If everything is done correctly, it should give us the same credentials which we had earlier written over here, these ones. So we are getting all these credentials in a dictionary object currently, so which we can use in our Python commands or Python codes. So now we'll go on with the actual connection of our Python and MySQL now. The connect.py is the program which we have written in order to connect our Python program to the MySQL database. Here we are using the MySQL connector library, in which, as we saw in the earlier program, the MySQL database configuration uses the read database configuration function. Here the connect function we have defined such that it accepts 4 parameters: the host, database, user and password. The connect function establishes a Python _MySQL database and it returns to the MySQL connection object. See here, this is the MySQL connection object. It is returning to the CONN as we have written the name. If there is any sorts of error, we will get the messages as connection failed. This is where we are calling the connect function, and we have used the name variable which is the database name, which is student DB in our case. We'll see how this program executes. As it is stored in this same directory, all we have to do is run the program. So as we can see, there was no error. The statements which we executed are working correctly. The connection to the MySQL database, connection established. If there was some problems with the parameters, it would have gone to the else part and showed the connection had failed. And afterwards, we do need to close the connection explicitly, as Python does not do it automatically. So we are using the conn.close, which is our MySQL objects close function. So that's it for this function. Now I will show you how to perform a query on. Right. So before starting to show the queries, I would like to show you the contents of my database first. So let us start with it. We'll use the student database, which I have already created, which contains the students' marks and their students' GPA. So now currently we are using the student database. There is a table in here which I have created, which is called as class 101. I will perform a simple query over here. So as you can see, there are 3 entries currently in our table, which is student 1 with 9.7 GPA, there is student 3 with 8.46 GPA, and there is student 2 with 6.9 GPA. So now all we have to do is perform the select. So all now we have to do is we have to do the select star from class 101 query from our Python program, which we in turn will run from the Python from the command prompt. So this code goes as follows. Here we connect to the database by creating a new MySQL connection object. It is the same as it was in the earlier program, the connection one. Now we execute a queries which select all the rows from the class 101, which are the 3 students, and we are using the fetch one function here currently. So in this while loop, it will print a row and then shift on to the next row until all the rows are fetched. Finally, we'll close the cursor and the MySQL connection object, it would be closed. And here is from where we are calling the function. So it is executing as follows. Just let me show it to demonstrate it once. So these are the 3 entries of our table which are put down here by the fetch one method. There is a similar method, it is called as fetch all method. Even here the things are similar, that we have to use the Python MySQL database configuration, import the read database configuration function, then we have to create a MySQL connection object, then we have to join it through a cursor, then we have to execute our query, which is the select star from class 101. Just the difference is here we are using the fetch all methods. So now what we are doing, we are printing the rows count as well in this one. So it should be 3 if it is accurate, if the program is accurate enough. So each row we are fetching and printing it once, and finally we are closing the object as well as the cursor thing. So this program also performs in a similar way, just the difference is that the method we have used. So right, the total rows shown are 3. The roll numbers are 11, 13 and 12, which we have used as keys. The different numbers, names, student 1, 3 and 2 to distinguish, and the thing which we are using is the GPA. So that is it. That is how we can connect the Python and MySQL databases. These are 2 methods, the fetch all and fetch one. First of all, we need to install the library. Then secondly, we need to check whether it is installed correctly. The third thing that we have to do then is to use the Python MySQL connection object, which we wrote in the config.ini file, Then we put it up into the Python MySQL database configuration program, which returned us a dictionary object. We used the configuration parser package over there. Then we came to the MySQL directory. We checked that it is working properly and giving us back all the credentials which we entered in the config.inf file. Then we performed the python connect.py program. After it, I demonstrated how we did the queries, how we performed the queries from the Python program. So that's it. Thank you.